we're looking for different ways to encourage people to build spec homes, not for themselves, but spec homes. One of the ways we can do is give incentives. And one of the incentives we can do is waive the fees that we put on the builders. We have water fees and sewer tap fees and all the permit fees. And I had a list of those. I see Jeremy happens to, you have it there. Did we email that to you or send it? Okay, so you have it. I'm not looking for any action on that tonight. Anytime you can think of anything else we can do, those really don't even total a whole lot to make the incentive. We really need other players in this, in addition to the city, in my opinion. The city can't do it all, and it seems like I can speak for myself here when I say it seems like everywhere I go to a meeting, and it's been this way for about a year, they expect the city to pay for something, and the city, to make this happen. And we can only do so much, but this possibly can be a piece of maybe a bigger puzzle that would encourage people to build. Right now, we only have, maybe 10 lots in the whole city of Harrison. And so we need a subdivision in the worst way. We are meeting with some people, and we do have some ideas, but nothing concrete at this point. There might be a time we'll come back to the council and ask the council to consider waiving fees for maybe a short period of time for spec homes only. But anything we can do to, I know we called you the other day, and you said, no, I think residential is, we were looking for maybe a grant, and you were okay with commercial, industrial, but residential didn't apply. So that's information only. So let's go on to the next one, which is a big one that's not written in on yours, but I sent you the material on Camp Jack. You may not have it in front of you, but it was a lot of pages, and we have Matt Russell on the call here tonight. And what they are wanting to do, they want to proceed with the lease, so we're going to have to take the lease up again in February, and that's something here in a minute that I'd like Grant to talk to you about. But they are also asking for a lease, and they're asking us to consider a few things in here. Wade is going to talk to you in a minute about the roof, and the roof is going to have to be replaced. Regardless if Camp Jack, I say replaced, it's maybe not replaced, but I think there's a seal that's going to go on it. It's a rather expensive seal, but Wade will talk to you about the roof. And there are a couple of other things in here that they would like. I would like to try to figure out a way to go forward with them. First, we're going to have to take up the lease, and we'll bring that back in February at the committee. And I think in the meantime, we'll try to communicate the best we can on trying to get this done to where you can have all the information you need at the committee meeting, and then we go on and at the end of February. But you see their plans there. They're just very extensive on what they want to do. And they have a lot of volunteers, I believe, vets that want to do the work, and he thinks he can even get materials donated. So, with that said, Matt Russell, would you like to say a few words?
Good evening. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, you're a little soft, but we can hear you.
I'll try to speak up. Well, good evening all. We're very excited about proceeding with this. The excitement is growing in the community. Before I say too much, I want to go back to your Christmas decoration discussion earlier. It seems like we may be sharing the same facilities with your Christmas decorations. And I do have guys who used to rewire Apache helicopters and nuclear submarines. So if I need some volunteers to work on those lights or hack them or whatever, I can probably find a few for you.
Well, we'll remember that. We'll reach out to you before we send our troops.
Well, that's something that we'd like to help the city with. And it seems like we are going to have a fairly large group of volunteers. And again, our focus is not only on the veterans, but also on the community and helping out where we can. But I think we may have an extensive volunteer group to do a lot of things like this, the way things seem at the moment. But we're ready to move ahead, and we're just very excited about the whole project. We want to get everybody's input before we sort of put these plans to bed, because we believe when this is all done, that it's really going to be a real showplace for the city and our community. And we'd like to, make sure that it represents what the city wants. So that's about all I have to add this evening, but I'm happy to answer any questions.
Any questions for Matt at this point? We'll still have Grant address the lease here in a minute.
Is Matt going to be with us for a committee meeting when we meet?
One way or another, Matt. Next month, February 11th and the 25th. You could be the speaker. We're allowed one speaker.
Yeah, I'd be happy to attend either in person or
Okay.
on telephone.
We'll reserve that seat for you then. Good.
And also individually, if there's any questions, don't hesitate to contact me in between.
Matt, Grant is going to say a few words about the lease right now. He and I have had extensive discussions regarding the lease. There's a few things we need to address. I hope you can hear him. If you can't, let us know. Go ahead, Grant.
Yes, so the mayor and I have talked about this lease. The Constitution in Arkansas allows certain things and doesn't allow certain things for city to do. One thing it doesn't allow is for cities, generally speaking, to give away certain things unless there are contracts in place in which the public can benefit. We saw this come up several years ago with the Chamber of Commerce when they were performing services for the city. And in turn, we remedied that by coming up with a pretty extensive contract that we sign every year with the Chamber, which shows goals and things which they're required to do in exchange for the transfer of money from the public entity to a private entity. And so we're looking at the same kind of considerations with this lease in the sense of we're transferring a public good, a public real estate property belonging to the city to a private entity. There are certain considerations we have to look at. It's not simply enough to have a contract that, like the one that we've seen before, that simply says you can have it, here you go. There have to be certain things in place. And so what I've been working with the mayor is getting a contract in place that would pass legal scrutiny as far as our Arkansas Constitution goes, allowing the city to allow the veterans to use that facility in exchange for things that the veterans would be giving back to the city, so it wouldn't be a gift but rather actual monetary consideration or some form of consideration takes place. So that's really all we're looking at here. The lease itself, as far as what we've seen last year, I think is fine. We're just going to have to come up with a separate contract or incorporate into that lease certain tangible things that are going both ways in exchange for the use of the building. So that's really all we're talking about. Nothing too complicated, but it would need to be, well thought out and presented so, everyone could understand what the city was getting in exchange for the use of the building. So.
Okay, so Grant and I and possibly Matt will have some discussions in the next 2 weeks, and we'll try to get something to you for the committee meeting. We will get something to you for the committee meeting that we can hopefully take action on. I know they're anxious. They've been anxious since day one. But anything else, Matt? Did that sound okay?
Yeah, that sounds fine. Whatever we can do to, help with this process, we're available. And again, if anyone has any questions, please contact me. We'll be happy to. But I would appreciate it if you look over those plans, and if the city, the concept again is to restore it, at least the exterior, to what it looked like in 1942 as much as possible. And really, we're really into the preservation of the historical aspect of the building as well as making it functional. So we're looking for input right now, and so we're happy to listen to anybody and everybody who's got some ideas.
Okay, thank you. Well, let's go on to the roof part. And Wade, would you address that, please?
Yeah. It's got an aging roof that's nearing the end of its useful life. Portions of it, probably about 2 years before needing to be resealed, redone, and then another portion of it maybe up to 5 years. There's around $7,000 of immediate repairs that need to be done to stop leakage. So I talked to Harness Roofing, and they had given Matt some quotes and some info that he forwarded to us, and then I kind of continued the discussion with them. The overall cost to do a full, renovation of the roof right now, based off of the information we have, is around $80,000. So that's the worst case scenario. Hopefully next week, Harness Roofing is going to get out there and do some surveys to determine what kind of moisture levels we might be looking at in the insulation. Hopefully that's not as bad as what we're assuming that was used to come up with that $80,000 number. So as we continue this discussion going into the next few months, hopefully I'm bringing back a number that's quite a bit less than that $80,000 to do the full work. One of the concerns I have though is spending $7,000 now to stop active leaks and address serious issues that need to be done right now. We could hit another $5,000 to $10,000 in repairs next year, and then the following year we're looking at replacing an entire portion of that roof, and then just few years after that, the rest of it. So, I hate spending money doing a little patchwork over the next couple of years when we're going to have to go ahead and make a big investment anyway. So, no decision needs to be made, but we'll be bringing some little more tied down numbers from Harsh Roofing next month. And my opinion, if that $80,000 comes down pretty substantially, something that we can actually manage to make work, my recommendation would be go ahead and get that entire roof taken care of. That way it's under a 20-year warranty. It's just something we're not going to have to worry as much about. And also, if we're going to be leasing this to another entity, it'll be nice to have that roof taken care of and not having to worry about too many issues. And then, even if we do have issues pop up, it'll be under warranty at that point. It's just, I'm afraid we're going to keep spending money on Band-Aids and for a few years and put a pretty significant investment and then just big investment. So hopefully we'll be able to get some better numbers going into next month, and it's something we can move forward with.
Okay. So that was information only, and hopefully February he'll have something he can present to you, but that's just kind of giving you fair warning that we might be needing. Now, I don't know if you recall, but when we purchased the junior high, we looked at all the roof reports. We weren't as concerned naturally about the armory as we were the others, and the others indicated everything was fine. And in the building we're taking, along with the gym, those roofs were in, I don't know how they were graded, like A or something, but they were in very good condition. So, all right. If there's nothing else on that, I've got a couple other comments. The coronavirus is still with us. I heard on national TV the other day, they said it's drastically diminishing. The active cases are going down daily nationally. So I've never heard that good news on NBC, but I did, and that's good. So here locally, we're outperforming the state. I haven't looked at what we got today, but as of yesterday, we still had around 235 active cases. Our high was much higher than that. So we're not dropping as fast as we'd like. Mountain Home's dropping a lot faster, but Mountain Home's death rate is much greater than ours. They're in the 90s, and we're still in the low 70s, I believe, as of yesterday. So I don't know why, but we have a lot more active cases, and they have considerably more deaths. But let's hope we get through that, and it does look like we're going to. We had a drive-in movie again the other night. We didn't have near the turnout we would have liked, and we have a lot of reasons why we think so. But one thing we're going to do, we committed to 3 of these. We're going to do one next month. And I called the guy that just bought the the theaters here in town, John, who owns Golden Ticket. And I recall when the chamber and I were talking to that gentleman, he mentioned that he only had maybe 11 or 12 theaters, and he was hands-on, and he's really grew up in the industry, and he knows his movies, and he also owns some drive-in movies. So I called him and asked him, what do you think? Here's what we're doing. What do you think we're doing? He says, I'll tell you what, run the #1 drive-in movie out there, and that's Jurassic Park, he said. So in February, we're going to run Jurassic Park, and we'll see how that goes. He says, if that doesn't hit, nothing will. So that's our drive-in movie update. I also want you all, maybe when we break up, let me give you, we have a door down here that has a code on it. You all need to have that code. If you need to get in here, you don't need to wait at the front door for people to come down and so on. So we want you to have that code. That's a lock we put on about a year ago that allows the women to go in and out if they want to take a smoke break and come back in without fiddling with the keys. So, but that's all I have for this evening. Do we have anybody in the audience that wants to say anything? Any citizens' comments? I guess not. Anything, Jeff? Anything from you? All right. Well, with that said,
Is it time to go
there
home?
she is again. Mary Jean. Motion to adjourn. All right.
Time to go home.
Thank you all very much. We'll get back to normal, I promise. 5 of the 8 remember what normal was. It's really nice being all up here around this table, isn't it? Yeah. Jeremy, everything good?